Josef Mengele, also known as the Angel of Death. He was a notorious Nazi doctor who conducted inhumane medical experiments on prisoners during the Holocaust. Twin brothers described the experiments performed on them by Mengele.
He didn't save me, he just kept me alive for himself.
Emotion still raw, images of horror still vivid. More than 75 years after Peter Shomagi survived the Holocaust, the 88-year-old who's now living here in Westchester, New York, was only 11 when he arrived at the Auschwitz concentration camp in July of 1944. The ink is still visible from his prisoner number A17454 that was tattooed on his arm at arrival. That's also when he came face to face with notorious Nazi doctor Josef Mengele.
Mengele came around and asked for twins. My mother first didn't know what to say. Second time, no. Third time, she said yes. Immediately, two adjutants grabbed us. I never even had a chance to say goodbye.
Peter, his twin brother Thomas, their 13-year-old sister Alice, and mother Elizabeth had all unknowingly been in line for the gas chambers when the twins were plucked aside. They never saw Alice or Elizabeth again.
The moment we got into the barrack, the man who was in charge, we asked him, when can I see my mother? The first question, he says, just look outside the flames. And then we understand that we'll never see my mother again.
Josef Mengele was young, charming, and outwardly pleasant, a facade that masked unspeakable evil. He was known as the Angel of Death, often personally administering the hydrogen cyanide gas to his victims. More than 1 million innocent men, women, and children were murdered in Auschwitz alone. Mengele also conducted medical experiments on prisoners and had a fascination with twins.
I think his aim was to find some kind of an algorithm or something to help German mothers to conceive and to bear twins or triplets or whatever, to increase the German population.
Peter's twin Thomas, who changed his last name and now lives in Toronto. He and Peter were so young when they met Mengele and his cohorts, never really understanding what was being done to them. They remembered doctors drawing blood from their arms and measuring their heads.
The one that I recall vividly, which was the most unpleasant, was taking an impression of my teeth. Basically, somebody packed what I figure must have been gypsum, calcium sulfate, in my mouth, and I had to keep my mouth open, and it was very unpleasant. I was like choking and gag reflex.
Luckily, there was not the brutal experiments that was done before, because we were just about the last arrivals. After us, only another pair came.
Peter and Thomas arrived at Auschwitz about 6 months before the camp's liberation. They were part of a massive group of more than 400,000 Jews packed into camel cars and deported from Hungary in just 54 days. A lot of children, a lot of 11-year-olds and younger, they were killed right away because they weren't strong enough to work.
There's no doubt about it. I mean, it's absolutely certain. There's just no two ways about it. I would not be alive today if I hadn't been a twin.
One day, when another Nazi officer, a doctor officer, came around and did a second selection, and they selected us again for the gas chamber. And we were taken out from the barrack into another room, locked inside, and we waited for the gas truck to take us to the gas chamber, except somehow or rather, Mengele got wind of it. He says, no, I will decide when they say, and not another officer. And that officer apparently angered Mengele, and he was sent to the Russian front.
Mengele is the reason the boys are alive, a dark irony. After liberation, Thomas and Peter made their way to Israel, then London, and then Canada, where Thomas stayed and Peter eventually left for New York with his wife Anna. Anna and her family also survived the Holocaust by hiding in different locations throughout Budapest. The twin brothers worked hard in their new lives and raised beautiful families. Their father Joseph survived the Dachau concentration camp and lived to be 105 years old. Peter and Thomas know their story is unique, and despite how painful it is to tell, they understand the importance of doing so.
In about 10 to 15 years, there will be no survivors alive who were eyewitnesses.
As far as I'm concerned, it was the greatest crime in human history. And it must not be forgotten.
A plea to future generations to never forget.